I found it disturbing and at times amusing. I entered government from the outside. I had briefings early on when I was confirmed as ambassador with people in the State Department. And to them, the entire Arab-Israeli conflict was simply boiled down to Israel and the Palestinians. Now, first of all, that was just the accepted dogma. I challenged it. I challenged it on numerous occasions. And they said, look, it's a great question. You're wasting your time. You're completely wasting your time. The Palestinians are the issue. If you solve the Palestinian issue, you can unlock the rest of the Arab world, the rest of the Muslim world, as you say. If you can't solve the Palestinian issue, nobody else will even talk to you. Now, just to put that into a bigger context, when you say the Palestinian issue, okay, you're talking about Israel not just making peace with the Palestinian Authority, which in and of itself is a corrupt organization whose leader, as people like to say, is in the 17th year of his 4-year term. He was elected for 4 years. He hasn't had elections since. He stayed on another 13 years with no democratic mandate. He runs a corrupt government. He respects no human rights. The justice system is non-existent. The financial transparency is non-existent. There is extraordinary subjugation of women. Homosexuality is a crime punishable by death. I mean, those are the good guys, right? Then you have Hamas, which operates in the West Bank, but primarily controls the Gaza Strip. Take all that, and they're extraordinarily violent, and they don't even accept the notion that one Jew should live anywhere between the Mediterranean Sea and the Jordan River. So these are the people, these are the organizations that the State Department says, until you get them on board, all right, you can't move any further within the region. And there's really no way to get them on board. I mean, there really isn't any way.
Okay, so there's two issues at work there, from what I understand. Then the first is what appears to me to be an oversimplified rationalization for failure to move forward, which would be the acceptance of a low-resolution ideology that you can boil down all the complexities of the Arab/Muslim/Palestinian relationship to the issue of Palestine, and that because that's intractable, there's no point wasting effort on the attempt to take a more differentiated approach to bringing peace to the Middle East, combined with, and this is a mystery that we could also delve into, the fact that there seems to be a reflexive identification for many on the West with the Palestinians on the side of this conflict. And it seems to me that's fueled by this equally global and vague, reductive notion that the Palestinians are oppressed and oppressed people are always virtuous. And since oppressed people are virtuous, the Israelis must be oppressors and wrong, despite whatever sins, let's say, the Palestinian leadership manifests, which are justifiable in any case because of the fact that they're oppressed and couldn't possibly know better. Is that too cynical?
No, it's not. It's not even cynical enough. I mean, you could take it another step, which is the Palestinians, apart from your point about, well, they must be right if they're weak, which is, of course, one does not flow from the other. But, the Palestinian leadership, the Palestinian Authority, which is, again, as people say, the least dirty shirt in the closet, the Palestinian Authority spends hundreds of millions of dollars from its budget that could otherwise be used to build, a hospital or a school. They use that money to reward and incentivize terrorists to kill Jews. Okay, and the United States funds the Palestinian Authority. We didn't under Trump. We cut that all out. But, Biden has recently resumed all that funding. So just to put this in perspective, the United States of America, the taxpayers of the United States, are paying the Palestinian Authority to incentivize their people to kill Jews. I mean, that's not too broad a statement. So
Okay, well, I don't often get accused of not being cynical enough, but I do appreciate that correction. So let's return to the Palestinian issue later, because we don't want to get sidelined entirely by that, as the whole world has been sidelined for 5 decades. Let's talk about the UAE, Bahrain, Sudan, and Morocco, and you said Kosovo. And so these countries, for some reason, were willing to move beyond, let's say, this State Department dicta and work with you to improve relations with Israel and to improve the possibility of peace in the Middle East. And so why were they willing to do that, and why them in particular?
So let me focus. I'll share with you a conversation I had with, because I think it's the most telling, with Sheikh Abdullah bin Zayed, who was the foreign minister of the United Arab Emirates. And I sat with him, this past summer after the Abraham Accords were already, out for more than a year. And I said to him, is this just about Israel having common enemies with, Iran and Bahrain? Is it just about the fact that everybody doesn't like and is threatened by Iran? Or is there more to this? What in your mind got us started? And what he said to me, and he said something which I thought was very profound, although probably the Russian-Ukraine war, it may be the exception that proves that rule. But what he said to me is, in the 21st century, the real conflicts in the world are not really between nations anymore. They're really between ideologies. And primarily they're between extremists and moderates. And we in the UAE, we're fighting that battle. And in the United States, you're fighting that battle. And in Israel, you're fighting that battle. You have roughly, 80% of the populations are, center right, center left, in the middle. In the past, they've always been able to find common ground. But now, you've got 10% people crazy on the left, 10% crazy on the right. Extremists, willing to resort to violence to achieve their means. And that's the fight that we have to win. And Israel and UAE and America and Bahrain and, and Morocco, we're all on the same side of that fight. Our interests are completely aligned. And I thought, that's after the fact, but that's as good as an explanation as I've heard from anybody as to why the Abraham Accords came together. But this is very important. Just because, there are reasons for people to align, you have to create the right environment to do that. You have to create the political opportunity for it to happen. You have to create the United States has to create, the coverage